How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Investing Podcast. I'm Ashton.Halland. Next to me is Keegan Mills. And as you can see, we have our very first guest on. We got Reid Nicholson, realtor. And so I'm just going to talk about the layout of the podcast really quick. So Reid's going to kind of give introduction about himself and then how he got into real estate. And then we're going to talk about the housing market, how crazy it is right now. We'll have a great perspective from Reid since he's been dealing with it for probably almost 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
And then get in there.
Yeah.
And then kind of just investing in real estate, everything like that. So yeah, let's roll into it. So Reid, if you just want to give a quick introduction about yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. So my name's Reid Nicholson. I'm a real estate agent. Been for about a year and 8 months or something like that now. I'm in the West Michigan area. I am now 20 years old, and that's pretty much what I do, and that's what I got going on. So,
yeah, for sure. Okay, so, guess if you want to give a little bit about yourself, how'd you get into real estate? I know you kind of got a little interesting story, kind of not very normal, I would say, for people getting into real estate.
No, it was different. I didn't really have real estate on my mind at all after graduating high school. Basically, ever since I was like 15, I studied day trading. It's been a passion of mine for a really long time. So I started studying it then. When COVID and everything hit, I opened up my first account. So that was probably like 2.5 years now ago, almost. And pretty much started from there. For anybody who does day trade, if you know the PDT rule, I was trying to find ways to get around that. So basically, I went with an offshore account for my first 8 months, and that was kind of throughout the whole summer. And then that's when college kind of came up, which I was not really down for. So I pretty much just chose a community college in the West Michigan area in Grand Rapids, and
hated it basically.
Yeah,
right?
it was ass. Can I swear on this or?
Yeah, I don't care.
For sure.
Yeah, it was ass.
Do it.
I hated college. It was so bad. I was like, it just felt like high school again. So I was like, all right. And so I was there. I was at GRCC for what?
A couple months or something like that.
No, not even like 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I was there for 2 weeks, and then I dropped out to keep on day trading and stuff because I was taking like 15 credits, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I was like, all right, this is like, I have no time for, so I was like, and I made a deal with my parents since all the thing was online anyways, and I hated that. I made a deal with them that if I made, I think it was $25K, because that would get me over the PDT rule. So if I made $25K the first year, then I could just keep doing that. And if I didn't, then I'd have to go to college. And I was like, all right, sweet.
All right, sounds fair enough.
Yeah. So real estate wasn't like what I was aiming for. And then about a month, probably 2 months after I dropped out of the college, we were just kind of having a party at my house. My parents had some of their high school friends and stuff over. So they've been in my life forever. They're like uncles and stuff to me, uncles and aunts. And one of them, his name's Todd. He had just like wrapped up his first year in real estate, and he had a really good year. And he was like, "Man, I wish he kind of just blurted out when we were there. He's like, "Man, I wish I would have started this when I was 20. I'd be a millionaire by now." And I was kind of looked at him because I was in there, and I was like, "All right, that's interesting." So I kind of noted it, and then the next day did some more research on it, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like, you're helping people, you're running your own schedule, you don't have a boss, like." It's pretty cool, and it's exactly what I kind of wanted with day trading anyways, because my whole deal with day trading was like travel and freedom and kind of just
kind of escape the 9 to 5,
do whatever you want. And then so it clicked. So that was like a Saturday. That party was a Friday night. I did some research that weekend, and then Sunday night I signed up for a real estate course, that same one that Todd went to. Gotcha. And the next morning, I didn't know, like when I signed up, it wasn't that much at all to take the class. It's a 1 week 40-hour class, but I didn't know any of this. Like the website, I just for whatever reason it was late at night Sunday. Like it was probably like 9 or 10 p.m. And for whatever reason, like dude, I could not figure out like when this class was or what was going on with it. So I woke up the next morning, did my normal stuff, getting ready to day trade, and I get a phone call at like 8 a.m. and it was Deb. She's at Success Realty. That's where I work now. That's where I took the class with. So she runs Success Licensing, and oh my, dude, she calls me at 8 a.m. and I'm like getting pumped for the stocks, and then she's like, "Hey, I saw you signed up for the course last night," and I was like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Well, do you know it starts at 9 a.m. Today?" And I was like, "What? No." And she's like, "Well, it does, and you have to be on time, otherwise, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And I was like, she's like, "Can you make it?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess." So I had no idea where it was either, and like I just signed up for it.
Yeah.
And so we hang up, and I'm like, "Holy sh!" So I quick Googled where the heck it was. It was on East Beltline, so that was like perfect.
Yeah, not too far.
Yeah, like 20 minutes. So just got ready. Had no idea what to bring. I just like grabbed like a pencil and a binder, I think, or something, and walked out.
Going to school.
I thought it was gonna be like a 2-3 hour like thing.
Yeah.
Nah, dude, it was an 8-hour day, and I had no idea. I was like, oh my gosh, and the whole 5 days was 8 hours, a 40-hour week. So.
And that was an entire class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting 40 hours worth of real estate information in 1 week.
Yeah.
That's got to be so much to take in.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, dude,
That's
fried my dude. I think I studied for like 60 hours straight that whole, and I just barely passed the stupid exam at the end. So.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that's pretty much how I got into it. I got into it because it lined up with everything that I was pretty much trying to do with day trading. And
so did that exam give you your license then, or?
No, so the class at the very end on the Friday, you take a 70-question multiple choice test just to verify that you took the class, you learned the information. All you have to do is pass with 70%, and it's 70 multiple choice questions, so
Gotcha.
not too bad.
Yeah.
And then once you pass that qualifies you to take the state licensing exam, and that's just you get like unlimited tries. I think your status for getting the actual license from actually graduating from the class is like 6 or 8 months. It's pretty long, and so you can just it's $90 per test, but you just run it up if you're like I know a realtor in my office, he took it like I want to say like 9 times before he passed.
Yeah, it's a hard test. I mean.
No, yeah, it's not even hard. It's
it
just annoying as hell, dude. They word these questions like so. I read the first time I took it, I was like, so yeah, you just sign up for them, and it's kind of strict. Like, you put all your crap in a bag, and they make you like lock it,
really?
lock it behind a chair and stuff.
Dang.
And they had they wouldn't let you. They said if you took your mask down, because I took this during COVID, they're like, take your mask down, we won't count your test. And I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean? I was like, what you talking about? And I was like, all right, well, I mean, we'll see how true that is. And then, so the test room, there's like an actual test room, and it's just all students. They're not all taking real estate tests. It's like just random like builders tests but there's like booths set up. So I walk over to this booth, and there's a fucking camera just sitting there right there. And I was like, all right, yeah, they're right. Don't take my mask off then. So, but yeah, so they're kind of strict with everything. But I was reading the like first question on the test, and I was like, and then I read the answers, and I was like, man, it could be any one of these. I don't know. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, what is that? And I was like, what the hell did I just read? Like, it's so worded so weirdly, but that one is just 125. It's like either 120 or 125, just multiple choice questions, pass with 70%.
70%.
So the questions just suck. So that's why it took me so long. It took me 3 tries. Third time I got it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know my mom took the class. I don't know, probably a long time ago, but she failed it. twice, 3 times. She never really wanted to be a realtor. She was kind of just like maybe like a side thing or like a backup plan.
Yeah.
But she failed it and then never took it again. So she was like, I'm done with it.
Yeah, dude, it's hard.
So I know it's a hard test for sure.
But dude, I also have I've kind of started a team, kind of not. He's doing his own thing this summer, but he's 19 years old and he passed the class and got licensed in 10 days.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So
crazy.
I mean, but that's like also why the failure rate's so high. I think like 90% of realtors or something fail after 2 years because the test is like, dude, the test, like, it's like, I compare it to high school, bro. Like, you don't learn shit. Like, they make you teach stuff that you don't actually have to know. Like,
Yeah,
everybody
right.
else, like,
You're not getting the
it's
experience,
stuff-
basically.
They don't teach you, like, how to run a business or start it. It's, like, literally just generic, like, contracts and, like, all this different stuff that you don't even necessarily need to know because it has nothing, like, other people do all that for you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, okay.
Like, the title company does that stuff. Like, the mandatory stuff that you have to do automatically does it. So I was like, why? But it's good information to, like, know just to have, I guess. But, nah, it was pretty pointless.
So how long is your license good for then?
Forever. As long as
Oh, okay.
there's, every 3 years you have to have 18 hours of continuing education credits. So basically it's just
Gotcha.
going to a seminar, like a qualified seminar, and learning more. But so every year, the only requirement is every year you have to take 2 hours of legal credit, which is just legalities of everything.
Right.
And it could be any subject in that, but you just have to take 2 hours of that every year. And then after that, it's up to you on when you want to do the rest of the 18 hours.
Okay.
But it's a span over 3 years, and so you can either rep it all, like, you can rep it all out your first year. But I go to, like, a ton of them just because I'm trying to learn everything. So,
Right.
it's kind of just depends on what you're feeling or what your status is. Because now, like, I know some people, they just are, like, 6 hours every year. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but.
All right. Solid. All right. So you're a newer realtor. When you got into real estate, the housing market was absolutely insane, right? And it's still insane right now. How has that been? Like, I know when houses are listed, people will not even like tour them. They'll buy them on site, going over asking price. Kind of just go through that process on, like, you know, if you're selling a house and stuff like that, and how crazy this housing market is.
Oh, well, I mean, if you're a seller, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, you list a house, if you price it right, it is somewhat updated, you're probably going to have, at that time, like, anywhere from 10 to 30 offers was normal to have on a house that was just nicely updated and up for sale at the right price. And then the right price turned into $50K over whatever the asking price was. So, I mean, it's like, and a lot of people were throwing cash, which was interesting. There was a lot of people coming from out of state that had cash, like California, New York, Chicago, Detroit. Those were all pretty big. Moving to Grand Rapids, a lot of them have cash. So
Yeah.
that was a lot of it, and then the other part of it is there's just no supply of homes on the market. I mean, there's literally, in our general area right now, I believe, just like, I guess we can just go for Grand Rapids, or even just Kent County, we're below a month's supply of homes. So, like, basically, if all the homes on the market sold right now and not another one went up after that, it'd last about 3 weeks, and we'd be completely out of inventory.
Wow.
So, and you can pretty much say that for anywhere in the country right now. So, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's just no housing.
I mean, yeah, the demand is just outweighing the supply. I mean,
Yeah, and I've noticed, I feel like when new construction are going up, it's all like custom built homes or
It's
like,
nicer homes.
yeah, they're super expensive homes for like the average middle class person. They're not going to be able to afford those houses. And
Or
so
your
that's not
first-time
even,
home buyer that's just getting out
exactly.
of college that is already sunk in debt.
yeah.
Right.
So Yeah, it's definitely hard right now. The market's just insane.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's not to say, I mean, so really if you're looking to buy in the market, you got to have some cash saved up, and, you know, whatever you get pre-qualified for, as long as you got cash saved up, you can probably find what you want. But
Yeah.
cash is king right now. It's crazy.
Okay. Interesting.
But even, I'm not saying you got to have enough cash to just straight up buy the house. It's more like
A bigger down
have
payment,
enough
is that what
cash
you mean?
where you can either do a bigger down payment, or there's things called appraisal gaps where you guarantee cash over whatever the appraisal comes back at. There's different things that like you're not seeing cash offers everywhere. Like that's more of an exaggeration. I mean, there is a lot of cash. Like the one my neighbor's house I'm selling right now, that's a cash deal.
Really?
But yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, you're seeing it, but I honestly, I mean, I've only done maybe like 2 or 3 cash deals out of the, I don't know, I think I'm at like 14 closed and like 18. So yeah, it's like 14, maybe 2 cash deals out of my 14 so far. So, I mean, you're not seeing it a ton, but it's there. And then most people are just guaranteeing a certain cash amount over like an appraisal price or things like that. So that's kind of how you can make it stronger. But it's just crazy. There's escalation. A big one that's driving why they're selling so much higher above is because there's a thing called an escalation clause, and you can like you put an offer in at, like, let's say the house is $250. You're like, all right, we're gonna put the offer in at $250, but we're gonna attach this escalation clause that says we're willing to pay $5,000 over the next highest bona fide offer.
Okay.
Up to, let's just say, $300. My max is $300. So once we get to there, I'm out. So if it gets above there, so that's like how it's, because people will be bidding each other on escalation clauses. So you just be reading them. Someone will write that fucker for $300, and someone will write it for $350, and you're like, all right, well that's awesome, like right there.
Yeah.
But that's the other problem. Like appraisals probably ain't gonna appraise that high, so then that's where the appraisal gaps come in, because at least then you know you're guaranteeing cash over whatever basically the market,
Gotcha.
the government tells you.
Do you want to move a little closer to the mic really quick?
Yeah.
Sorry. Just want to make sure it's getting it. All right, there we go. We're good.
So
do you
Gotcha.
see the housing market changing, or what's your take on that?
no, not anytime soon. I mean, there's just no supply, so until that kind of changes or something drastic in the market changes, I mean, no. Especially throughout the rest of this year, like everybody's saying they want to wait. Well, I'd be ready to wait for 2-3 years probably
Really?
before we see anything drastic. It just kind of depends on, like, there's just no supply, so it's like,
Right.
and we can't keep up. Like,
I mean, you see
we've
that with
been-
all the supply and demand issues too, supply chain management.
Yeah, I mean, not just in real estate. I mean,
Right, yeah,
everything
that
really.
relates to anything.
well, and I mean, a lot of that's because of COVID, but
Yeah.
like the housing market, that's not the case. Like, dude, we've been producing less and less homes ever since the crash happened. We've been producing less and less homes compared to like how the
Since
population's
2008?
growing.
Is that what you mean?
I
Or-
think it was more like 10, 11.
Okay.
But ever since then, no, like, dude, there's a graph, and, you know, it's literally like, I think at our peak, we were doing so many homes every year as a country, and then it just kind of pegged down each year to like where we're at now. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
okay,
just-
like, yeah, we have a shit ton of population, and
Right, and that's just
nowhere
gonna
for
keep
everybody to
growing.
go,
So.
like, yeah. So that's kind of the main issue. I mean, it's just the supply, but the other issue is, I mean, everybody's like interest rates are going up, but really we were just at all-time lows, like
Yeah.
almost ever. Like,
Yeah.
maybe even ever. I would have to double check that, but 6 to 8% interest rates are what everybody says is a healthy, good market.
Yep.
So really, I mean, we're still at really low interest rates right now. We're at like 5 to 5.25 at the moment.
Gotcha.
And then anything above like 8, 9, yeah, it's starting to get a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now it's like you can buy a house for the cheapest you ever probably can, because interest rates. That's what, you know. in a bottom line sense, that's what judges how much you pay a month.
Yeah, I mean,
on
in
a
the
house.
long run, you want lower interest rates
Yeah.
than like a lower cost house,
Exactly,
right?
and especially like right now, people are like, well, what if the housing market crashes? I'm like,
Interest rates will probably go
well,
up then, right?
Yeah.
what if it does? Are you planning on selling it after 3-5 years, or are you gonna hold it for 7 to 10 years?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, 7 to 10 years. And I'm like, okay, then don't worry about it.
Yeah,
like, the only time
exactly.
you have to worry about a housing market crash is if you have to sell your house during the crash. Like, so if you can just find a monthly payment that you can afford and do every month.
That you're planning on staying there for
Yeah, and you're
a long
planning on
time.
living there, you can, or maybe you don't even have to plan on it, but you just, if it had to happen, you could do it. Like, that's the other way to look at it, because if the crash did happen and you were like getting ready to sell, but you were like, it's still a good house, I can live here a little bit longer and wait for things to kind of go back up, well then, boom, like you're set. You avoid the hassle and whatnot. So, I mean, really though, this whole year, I don't expect any change. Neither does the majority of people that study the entire real estate economics and whatnot.
Yeah.
After this year, things could maybe get interesting, but for the most part, we're not expecting like a huge increase again or anything. It's probably just going to stay pretty flat, or maybe just kind of slowly increase a touch. Like, what I think the average household grew like pretty damn close to 10% in its value
Gotcha.
over the last 2 years. That's a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like 10% of 250 is 25K. Like,
Yeah.
and it's probably even more than that in most places. Like a lot of like Rockford, dude, Byron Center's 50%.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
insane.
That's insane.
So as a nation, though, I think the average is like right around 10, but still, that's like a ton of money. So, where was I going with that? I
don't know. I mean, Grand Rapids is a growing area. I mean, that's showing right there.
Yeah, I mean it is, but and they're building a ton of developments. I mean, have you guys seen?
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
I mean, just in Rockford,
Dude,
there's
there's like
bunch.
6 just going up in Rockford right
Yeah,
now.
which is
But
like a
Rockford
small
is also
city.
huge. I mean,
Yeah.
compared to a lot of the other cities that are.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I can go. It takes probably from here too. You could go 20 minutes. It takes you to get to East Middle School.
Yeah.
Like, I could get to Byron in 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. It's crazy. Rockford is huge. It's a huge
Yeah.
school.
But
And they're still growing,
yeah.
which is crazy.
But I mean, so for the most part, I wouldn't expect any major shifts or changes for a little while now until
Okay.
something changes with the supply, or interest rates get too absurd, or inflation destroys everyone's money. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Inflation's
so-
inflation's super
It's
high
like
right
a
now.
40
But that's the
year
thing
high.
with the
right
housing
now.
Yeah.
market, inflation helps it.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
if you got
Good-
money
good for
invested
you.
in real estate, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we talked about, if you're selling right now in this market, it's definitely a seller's market.
Mhm.
But, for me and Keegan, we're getting closer to that age where we're going to start looking at houses probably in a few years.
Yeah,
And if
Reid
the market
I
stays
are.
like that, yeah, I know you're looking, right?
Yeah.
So it's not ideal for us right now, especially, stuff like that. So for like first time home buyers, what's like your kind of like take on that with this market?
For first-time home buyers, well, one, don't be afraid of this market. What I would say is, dude, save up 10 to 15K, ideally each. But if you got like 15K total, you're probably gonna be straight. Ideally, you have a little bit more. If you could get to 20 to 25K, that gives you around 10K in just floating money that you could use to make your offer better, which is
Okay.
what you're kind of gonna need in this market. Depends on the home you're looking at, though. I mean, if you're looking at a complete flip, that's just a piece of
Right.
dump. Like, you're still probably you'll be fine on that. Like, that'll be normal kind of type offers. But like for me, Reid and I right now, Reid's been working at
Vista
Mr. Brothers
Brothers, right?
Construction for about the same time I've been in real estate, like a year. Oh, he's probably actually hit 2 years already now. But
Works with my dad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
So, and he's been making good money. He has work history at Meyer before that, and so that's kind of what they use for his background. And usually, most lenders, unless you have like salary jobs or things like that, sometimes they can work with you on it. But usually, ideally, you got 2 years of work history of, consistent income, basically.
Gotcha.
And then, ideally, you have a better credit score is going to be where you want to get yourself to.
Better credit score, does that affect interest rates at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought so, but
the better your credit score is, the less the risk you are, so
Yep.
the more kind of they'll give to you. The higher the risk you are, the more they want it up front, rather
Right.
than trusting you, kind of thing. But so, where were we? What were we talking about there?
Reid thinking about getting a house, right?
Yeah.
Something
So
like that.
I mean, I hooked him up with one of the lenders that I work with, because we're gonna go in on it together. The cool part about me is I get paid to buy a house. So,
True.
So we'll use that towards our down payment, which is nice. So I can already expect that cash to be there. So that's the kind of nice part. But yeah, he got pre-approved for $250. So we're looking kind of in that price range. That monthly cost is probably going to be right around $1,200-ish, just depending on the area. Could be more closer to $1,000.
Is he looking to live there or to rent it out?
So ideally, right now we've been looking at duplexes. We've probably seen 6 to 10 now. We almost put an offer in on one, but then the area kind of was just not the greatest.
Gotcha.
But now we're kind of going to switch it up because there's just not a ton of duplexes going up right now. It's pretty, and it's a lot like the residential single family housing. So there's competition and whatnot. So and really we haven't found any that we necessarily really like. Yeah. Ideally we want one near a college like GVSU or GRCC, Aquinas, something like that, where there's a
college
good
students.
chance we're gonna have consistent rentals every year.
Gotcha.
And that's also nice because if it's college students, they might trash the place, but they also got their parents behind
right.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
especially,
that's kind of like
at
guaranteed.
those places.
Yeah, and then, but now we're kind of gonna start looking at just like a 4-bedroom house. We'll rent out 2 other rooms to 2 other dudes or whoever wants to kind of pay the rent. And,
anyone you can get, really.
Yeah. So I mean, that'll be different though, because we'll be living in the same area. So I mean, obviously, we're gonna want to interview
You want to make sure you got some good people.
Dude, sure. Be like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're also kind of looking at that because that's also one. There's not a lot more, but there's more to look at when you do that.
Yeah.
And we kind of want to get out. We have the money saved up for the most part, so it's like, let's do it. Especially if we can have help on the monthly payments and whatnot. I mean, it'd be perfect. So that's kind of what we might shift into more, just to get a different change up.
Gotcha.
And maybe an easier way to do it. But ideally, we're also kind of looking at like a flip. Not anything that needs
crazy amount of
work.
work.
Yeah, more just like facial stuff,
right.
like accents and stuff like that. But just stuff that we can kind of touch up potentially, so it's not as nice a home. If you can look at a home that has all the qualities that you're looking for, but it's just not the most updated, that's another great tip just for younger people. Yeah, so I mean, if you can buy a house that you're looking at that you can see yourself living in for whatever, or it fits everything that you're looking for, it's just not updated, there's a lot less competition on those, so that's just another way to have better odds of getting an offer accepted.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's ways to work around it. I would just say the biggest takeaway is save up some money. And I would say the biggest other part is look at it as an investment, because at the end of the day, if the market does crash in 3 years, well, if you do what I say and can plan on, if you have to, living in it for 7 to 10 years,
you'll be good.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You just ride that thing out. So I wouldn't look at prices as being too high. I want to wait for a dip. You might be waiting a really long time and be pissed that you waited, because it's just going to be higher.
Yeah. With interest rates, right?
Yeah, and your monthly payment will increase, and inflation's going to keep driving the prices up. I mean, and until if somehow we get a major influx of supply, I mean, that'd be a lifesaver, but I mean,
I don't see that
Yeah,
happening.
kind of need a
so-
miracle for that.
so I mean, right now, I mean, inflation's going to drive that, and inflation's only increasing.
Yep.
So I mean, I would say now, if you buy now, 2-3 years, I mean, you don't know what could happen. I mean, it could just keep shooting up because I don't know what inflation's going to do to everything either. So, there's just a lot of factors, and I would say the way to get rid of all those factors is to say, yeah, I could live here for 10 years, and then that eliminates all that drama and stress.
Gotcha. So key takeaways, basically, if you're looking to buy, don't be afraid of this market,
No, not at all.
Okay, and just
But just save up some money, work on getting your credit score. If you can get it to 680, that would be the best.
that's doable. 680 is a very doable credit score.
If you get one credit line, say you can get it at $1,000, we'll only use 10% of that card, or 10 to 20%. 10 is better. The less of it you use a month, and then pay it off every month on this right date, that makes your credit so much better because for whatever reason, the more you use of it each month, and even if you still pay it off, it still reflects in your credit as negative. So like that was the other huge thing for Reid. Reid got a conventional loan because he had great credit score.
Yeah.
So
I mean, me and him are huge in the credit cards. Credit cards, you can get great perks with it too and stuff like that. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think I ever use a debit card.
I don't even have one.
I always use my debit card.
Really? I only use my credit card for points, and my credit score is built up like crazy.
Good.
Yeah, so. But, that's kind of wrapping up the housing market. Get a good credit score. The bigger the down
save up
payment.
the money, get a good credit score. I mean, really, money-wise, 20K would be perfect because there's first-time homebuyer programs that can help you out with the down payment and closing costs. Like I'm working with some buyers right now, and they have the majority of their closing costs and down payment covered. Also with first-time home buyers, you're most likely looking at 3 to 3.5% down. So that's makes it even easier. And then, so really just saving up the money is the big one there. And then, what would be the third? Oh, the third would just be, look at buying something that you'd live in for a while if you really had to, because you don't know. I mean, next few years look like they could be pretty hectic. So if you're gonna buy, look at it as an investment and a long-term thing.
Yeah. All right. Gotcha. All right. So as you can see, this channel is about investing. So we want to kind of hear about your thoughts on investing in real estate. There's Airbnbs. I mean, you can do like stuff like that, rental properties, and just living in a home. If you're holding it for a while, that's going to grow like crazy. So what are your thoughts on like just getting rental properties, stuff like that?
Honestly, in my opinion, I think it's the most important thing you can do right now. In my opinion, the more land you can buy right now, the better, because everything's already getting bought up by major rental companies right now.
Okay.
What's some Black Rock, I think.
Yeah, BlackRock.
Yeah, they are buying, like, dude, it's projected in the next, I can't remember how long. It was either 10 or 15 years. Could have been even 20. So, like, 10 to 20 years, they'd own 30% of all the single-family resident. Like, dude, the biggest thing you could do right now is get some land, dude. It's kind of coming back to, especially with how populated everything's getting. Like, if you can own land, you're gonna be sitting fine. Like, whether you rent it out, just own it to own it, or whatever, the more land you have right now, I think is going to be the biggest thing, especially just
right, because they're not creating more of it.
And, staying in the game. So, I would say, was that along the lines of your question?
Yeah, and anything with investing. So if you hold it, that's gonna build up the equity, basically, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna grow.
The only way it's an investment is to use it as an investment and give it its time to grow.
Gotcha.
But with investing, there's a ton of different options. You could go the house hacking way and do what me and Rob are kind of looking at, buying a duplex or a big enough home to rent out some rooms or whatnot.
Yeah.
That'll help you with all the payments. and you're also not forking over all the money towards the mortgage, and
Right, builds your
basically
equity
having two
too.
other people
Yep.
or whatever it is help you pay off your own house that they're living in. So, and you're getting a discount on it pretty much. So that's one way to do it. I mean, that's the same way with duplexes. You're just, you got two separate living areas basically for two separate families. I mean, you could go triplexes, it's the same concept, and then multifamily is the same concept as well. Those are all great investments. I'd say if you're young like us, start with a duplex and work your way up so you get a good foundation on everything.
What do you mean by like house hacking? Like you buy a duplex, let's say it's $1,500 a month as your payment, right? You're living in one half, and like the other person is renting out, they're paying like $1,500. So you have kind of like a free place to stay.
Not necessarily. They'll pay for half. So, like for me, like Reid and I, we'll if we buy a duplex, we'll have they'll pay for about half to a little bit above half, maybe 60-65% of whatever the thing is, whatever the mortgage cost is. So 1,500 at 60% of that is, that's probably pretty close to 1,000.
And that rental, I mean, apartments are more than that right now. So I mean, I feel like you might be able to charge even more, maybe, possibly.
Well, and that's the thing, dude. If you guys are paying $1,200 to $1,500 right now to rent a place in the Grand Rapids area, at least, you're wasting your money, dude. You can buy a house and it'll be a cheaper monthly, and you'll actually own it. You'll actually have equity. You'll actually be able to grow that. So that's my big take on all that. Like, dude, just save up the money, work on your credit score, work on, just wait it out, have some work history, and you'll be set. Buy a house, don't rent. Like, you're just lighting that money on fire. So
yeah, for like people in college and younger generation, stuff like that, they might only be here for like 2 more years, and then they might want to maybe move out of the state or move different part of the state. How would you feel about them still buying a house versus renting? Because they're only planning on there being like 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
You think you'd still say getting a house?
I
Or is it
guess
kind of tough?
depends. I mean, yeah, it's kind of tough. To me, this is just the way I look at it.
Yeah.
If I buy a house, I'm probably not going to sell that. Like, I don't, like, that's how I'm going to look at it. Like, I'm going to look at it long term. I'm going to rent it out until my mortgage is paid off from renters, and then I'm going to keep renting it out until I either want it or I die or whatever. So, for me, I'd say, yeah, buy it and rent it out when you leave, and hire a property management crew to keep everything maintained, and
kind of some passive income, basically,
there's plenty
right?
of. I mean, you can buy cleanup crews. I mean, if it needs to be clean, maids, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of resources to make that happen for you. So, might use up all your profit, but
Right.
Yeah.
at some point that mortgage will go away, and then it'll be all profit. So.
Yep. Gotcha. How do you feel about like Airbnbs, kind of like a vacation rental? Do you think that's that's a good investment?
Yeah, dude. I know people who are.
Because that's newer right now.
I know people. I was just talking with this dude at the Y. He's got a buddy that's doing it on a lake, and just a lake in Michigan, dude. Like, I thought with Airbnbs in Michigan, you'd have to find a more prime spot. Maybe something by Grand Haven or the beach or the coastline. Or just like a good area, but it's also got food and whatnot next to it. This one's, dude, it's just on a kind of a lake up north. I mean, it's not like anything special. The house is super updated and nice. Dude, they're charging like $3,000 a week. Dude, that covers your mortgage and probably gives you $1,000 in profit. In your first week. So, I mean, as long as you have the right spot, yeah, Airbnbs would be awesome. As long as you can find the spot that's going to give you year-round potential. But he told me too, they're already booked out for 50 weeks.
Jeez.
This summer. Woo. So, I mean,
that's got to feel good.
Like, yeah, so it's like Airbnbs are extremely valuable, and that's the direction I really want to go, because I'd like to start buying places in other states. One, if I Airbnb those out and I own them,
that's a vacation place.
I'm just going to pick spots where I'd want to go vacation. So,
yeah, literally.
Well, that's the route I ideally would want to go. Rentals are great for the steady, like, long term, but Airbnbs are money pushing machines.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, do you think there's more risk if you, like, in the area, like, it doesn't become as popular, anything like that? It's not getting rented out.
oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you
there's
make
more
sure you're
risk.
buying a spot where population is continually growing, and
Right.
there's like stuff to actually do. Like, if there's not a ton to actually do, you just want to go the rental route.
Yeah.
If it's not a prime spot, like with Airbnbs, I think it is really important that you find like a prime spot. Like Rockford, you could probably, like, I don't even know, like, would I Airbnb a house, just a
Yeah.
normal house in Rockford? Like,
Yeah,
not.
probably,
I just
yeah.
rent that out. But would I Airbnb a house on Bella Vista? Fuck yeah. That would be bands, man.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the location and, you know, what you have around it.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Michigan, I mean, if you're like up north on a lake close to a ski resort or something like that, you're getting all the seasons, all the
Yeah.
activities,
set.
like you're set. You don't have to worry about like the season or anything like that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, well, and then you just have your own vacation homes that, you know, you own, but you're not paying for them. So, like,
yeah,
I mean,
you're making money, you got a place to chill.
I
like,
mean, that's kind of why now I'm stepping off day trading, because I'm like, well, there's so much you can do here for passive income as well. So,
yeah,
I mean, passive, you're still running a business at that point.
Right.
Yeah, but
I mean, yeah.
it's not like a 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more enjoyable too, for sure. So did rental, Airbnbs. What do you guys think for like the average homeowner? Just, you know, they want to, you know, they're going to find a place to stay and they plan on staying there for a while. You think they can get good returns on their house, right? Like 100%?
Yeah.
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 So smart to get in
Yeah.
anything with housing.
Especially if you're a millennial and you're starting a family, dude. If you're not expecting to be there for at least 10 years, I don't know what you're doing if you're starting a family. Like,
Yeah,
you're
true.
gonna be stuck there, man. Like,
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I would just say, be in it. Just look at it as an investment, man. I guess it's easier for me to say because that's what I've been doing
Yeah, true.
since I was kind of 15. But, yeah, I mean, just be in it for the long haul if you have to be. And if it's a good market and you feel like selling, then you can sell. And if it's a bad market and you felt like selling, well, you just know you got to wait. So.
Gotcha. All right. We'll probably just end this off with a couple of like quick rapid fire questions that we have, and then we'll get it going. All right. So we're just gonna end this off. Me and Keegan, you know, obviously have some questions that we think you guys would like to hear. So one of my main questions on a realtor, you're not getting that weekly paycheck, right? It's all commission. Do you ever get like stressed that, you know, you're not gonna be able to find houses to sell or anything like that, that you don't have that consistent money coming in?
Every second of my life. It's stressful as hell. Like, dude, when I first started, my bank account hit zero. Well, it didn't hit zero, but I wouldn't have lasted another month if I didn't close a deal. That happened twice before I actually had a good enough cushion to kind of be chill about it. But that, I mean, it's stressful in the very beginning because, one, like, it's not the norm. Like, not very many people know people that are getting paid that way or working that way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it stresses me the hell out, like, all the time. I think about it all the time. I stress about money all the time because it's great. Like, yeah, I'll get a fat paycheck, but then, like, you don't get another one for a while and your bank account just dwindles. And, like, that kind of hurts more than, like, the joy of actually getting the paycheck because you're like, oh, damn, like, now I know I'm just going to sit here and watch it.
Yeah.
But that's just the beginning. Like, you know, like, now I can get to the point I have 3 deals pending. I have 1 active on the market. And if I get more, I can just start stacking it. And then you know you have consistent income. So
Right.
True.
it's just that beginning phase of, you know, dry spells to big hits to, but like right now, like May will be my biggest month like ever. Well, it had potential to. It might not now, but it still has the potential. Could be my biggest month like ever.
Yeah.
So
It's good to hear.
yeah,
Yeah.
closing wise. So you know, it just kind of depends, and then it's also just looking at it like from a bird's eye view, and you know, just knowing as long as you keep putting in the work every day, the results will come. So
Yeah, definitely get what you put in, I feel like. For sure.
yeah.
So a question I have is, how do people basically like go to you as your or their realtor, not someone else? How do they go about that?
Like getting in touch with me? Or,
Yeah,
Like, or how do I get my business? Like, what do you?
both kind of.
Okay. So like for me, like, a lot of people, the average realtor is 52 years old. So most of the time it's someone that had a career, they retired from that career, and they're still, 50s, and they still want something to do, so they get into real estate. So that's a ton of realtors, and a lot of other realtors have other part-time jobs, and they do real estate on the side for family and friends because they're older and they have a database that's big enough to do that. Well, I have a database that's big enough to do that, but they just don't have any money. They're not to the point where, so I don't have really anyone reaching out to me in the beginning. One of my fifth or sixth deal was my aunt's house last year, but for the most part, Charlie Weaver was another one. So I've had some from my database that, just they liked me, trusted me, and wanted to throw me a bone kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Or give me a chance, which was dope. But for the most part, all my business came from cold calling.
Okay.
So, and all of it came from for sale by owners last year. So basically, a for sale by owner will go up on the market. I'll call their phone number and try to set an appointment with them to then go and show them what I can do and convince them to sell with me. And then, so that's how I got most of my business last year. And then I had a few SOI deals and a few buyer side deals. And so, but yeah, most of my stuff just comes from straight cold calling.
Gotcha. So there are a bunch of realtors, so I feel like a lot of people know a realtor already through like family or friends like that.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, so it's super competitive, right?
Yeah.
So what makes you stand out?
Well, so that's kind of the thing. Like, it is competitive, but it's only competitive because there's a lot of people out there doing it.
Gotcha.
And there's not even, in the grand scheme of things, there's like 3,500 in our general area, even going out to like Grand Haven and whatnot. Like, within the 50-mile, 60-mile radius, there's like 3,500 realtors.
Okay.
So, there's Grand Rapids population alone is like 1 million. So,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme, there's not like an overpowering amount. It just feels like there is when there's a house going up for sale, because
Everyone's
especially
jumping
right
on
now, like, yeah, everybody's hammering you. But most, like, I guess here's an example. So there's 3,500 realtors, right?
Yeah.
Well, most of the people that I cold call, like FSBOs, if you're a realtor, a lot of realtors call FSBOs for business. Or for sale by owner, sorry, that's realtor lingo, but it's not actually that much though, because the most time I talk with them, they say, "Man, you're like the 15th or 20th realtor to call me." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that sucks, but there's 3,500 of us around this area, and you're only getting called by 20, 30 people."
Okay.
Like, so most people, they're getting it just from knowing people. They're not getting it from reaching out. And honestly, the majority of the time I'm calling, a lot of people, yeah, they know a realtor, but sometimes they're also open to interviewing someone else just to get a second opinion. And honestly, I'd recommend that.
Right.
Okay.
Compare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's competitive, but it's not like people are actually, there's very few people that are actually treating it like a legitimate business, that are working consistently at it every day to grow and make it into a business. Most people are just doing it for friends and family, and that's kind of like it. But,
yeah, it's kind of just like their side gig almost,
Yeah.
And this is you're set on this. This is your career, you know.
Exactly.
Yep. So you have that. Any questions?
But that's the other thing. When it's those people, when it's people that are like, they're just doing it on the side kind of thing. The service, like, it's probably like decent, but you're probably left in the vague, or like, they don't really necessarily care.
It's decent because like,
me,
them, but
I have documents, like, I literally lay out for you exactly what I'm gonna do, and then you just gotta make sure I do it. Like, and I tell you when I'm doing exactly what I said I'm doing. So it's like,
yeah,
and the other part is, I'm looking at it as a career over them. Like, it's so, but there is there's plenty of realtors out there that are just like me, so they're way more advanced than me, so that are actually running full on crazy large businesses. Ginger Baxter.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, you got any, Keegan?
I don't think so.
One more. I know your girlfriend though is actually thinking about becoming a realtor, right?
Yeah.
Would be like
Jenna?
Yeah.
Would be
Yeah,
like
she's texting me about it.
yeah, would be like an advice for someone who maybe wants to become a realtor.
If you're in the West Michigan area, go with Success Licensing.
There you go.
But really, I mean, there's like three licensing classes in Grand Rapids right now. Really, I mean, that's kind of like it for a pretty long distance. But
Okay.
look up in your town. I would take the class in person. There's online courses, but those, good luck.
Yeah.
Just get an in-person class. Just get it over with, whatever the time frame is. I know in different states it's different than a 1 week 40-hour class, but whatever it is, just get it over with. You'll learn it way better in person, and it'll speed up your timeline. So I guess just do that research first. Sign up for a class, pass the class. Once you pass the class, you can expect to then go take whatever your state's final exam is. Study your ass off for that, pass that, and then basically just expect in Michigan, it's about $1,500 to $2,000 to get your license. So once you pass the test, you pay that, and then you're licensed. And you can start working on your business. You can literally, the day after you get your license, you can go sell a house. I mean, yeah. That's pretty much what you can expect. My cousin's actually tomorrow Success License. So Success Licensing does classes the second week of every month.
Okay.
She's super cool. She's an older lady, but she's awesome. She's super sweet, and she's great. And all she does is, this is the best part about it, she just teaches you what you need to know to pass the test. Like, she doesn't expand on much stuff, because in the grand scheme of things, she even says it in class, like, you don't really need to know this stuff to do what you need to do to help people. So that's what I like about her. She literally just teaches you what you need to know just to get the test over with and get your license. But my cousin's doing it Monday. Tomorrow is he'll be in it, so that'll be sweet.
Gotcha.
Actually, I should text him about that. And then, I like the 19-year-old. Like I said, he was done in 10 days. So you just gotta expect some fees. It's about $1,000 a year to continue to have your license as a realtor.
Okay.
And there's some expenses there, and then just depending on the brokerage that you end up wanting to go with, interview different brokerages. Don't just go with one. I mean, by now I've interviewed with like 9 or 10 different brokerages, so get a good feel out there, and then you can make a decision. And even if you choose one brokerage, the best part about being a realtor is brokerages for the most part want you because you're making them money. So
yeah.
The interview process is really more you're interviewing them than they are them interviewing you, kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's the other, like, don't be stressed or nervous about going to an interview because you're running the interview. It's what are they doing for you that makes you want to go there. So those are, just a few basic things. And, and then once you have your license, expect about probably, I'd say, for a good time frame, 6 to 9 months to get your first paycheck. It took me 9 months to get my first paycheck, so.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. All right, last question before we wrap things up. Obviously, Grand Rapids is a high-populated area. Good market, I would say. But have you ever thought about moving to, like California or, like, Denver or, like a bigger city like that where the houses are more expensive? There's a higher populated.
All the damn time.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, right now, like, in Michigan, dude, like, you guys remember Ian Bacon?
I feel like I've heard of him.
Well, anyways, he's 19. He just moved out to Washington, D.C., and he got his real estate license there. We met a few times before he moved out, and showed him what I was doing and how I was doing it. And, dude, he went over to D.C. and pretty much started doing that. Dude's closed like 6. He's probably closed like over 10 or 15 million in sales already.
Wow.
And his first, he started in the beginning of this year. But dude, he's telling me about it, and like, dude, that market is crazy. So it also depends on your market. Like for me to do the same amount of volume that he has to do, like he can sell 6 homes and do 10 million in sales. I have to do fucking to do 10 million in sales. I got to do like right around 30 homes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it also, it depends on the market you're in and stuff. So, but yeah, I think about it all the time. I'd love to move out to Florida or just get my license in Florida.
So wait, if you moved somewhere, you'd have to get a license again. You can only sell in Michigan.
It's only for your state. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. For the most part, from what I hear, like California would be ass. Like hell no.
Yeah.
Apparently they have like in Michigan, there's really like maybe like 10 modifications that really happen on a regular basis to a contract just throughout the process and negotiations and whatnot. Dude, in California they have 50 different options. Like I'm like, what? Like no thanks. Plus California, dude, that would just it'd probably just be annoying because I feel like a lot more people they just kind of treat your realtor like ass and stuff like that. So California would be a no-go, but Florida I've definitely considered. I'd love to do it in Florida, but at the same time, Grand Rapids is exploding. And
So, like you were saying, you kind of just want to stay in Grand Rapids and then maybe Airbnb at somewhere, places like Florida?
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather just focus on building the biggest business I can in Grand Rapids, and then from there, expanding what I'm doing, with the rental and Airbnb game into other states. And then at that point, if I own the house, it's an Airbnb or whatever, I have a place to stay, and I can, at that point, ideally, I can go back and forth. Right now, I already work majority of the time off my laptop or phone. I don't necessarily need an office.
Yeah, true.
So, by then it'll be pretty cool. So.
Gotcha. All right. Any last questions you got, Keegan?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, our camera just died, so we're just gonna end this on the audio. But Reid, thanks for coming on, man.
Bro, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was a good episode. I'll have all of your contacts in the description.
Okay, sick.
So if anyone wants to reach out to Reid, any questions about real estate, he will help you.
Man.
Yeah, literally anything. Go contact him. Everything will be in the description. Other than that, that's been it. All right.
Peace.